Jason Garrett, every Monday during the season. San Antonio's sports leader, 1250 ESPN San Antonio. Presented by AA Best Bail Bonds. MyBestBailBonds.com.
Empty gun, 3 to snap. Snap, looking right. Quick fade for Dez, back of the end zone. Reached up, caught it! Touchdown! Dez Bryant! You know what to do, youngster. Throw up the X.
And he threw up the X 3 times last night. Brad Sham with the call on the Dallas Cowboys radio network and our brother station, 102.7 Jack FM. It is the Blitz. Ari Temkin in for that win today. I'm Jason Minix. Let's talk about that 38-27 win over the Philadelphia Eagles last night with the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds at 225-2121. Jason Garrett joining us on the Wilkes Air Conditioning and Heating Hotline. Coach, before we get to the win, the news today about DeMarco Murray and his 4th metacarpal is going to need surgery. Can you update us on DeMarco's status?
Yeah, you just said it. He's going to have surgery later today, and that is the injury. He broke that 4th metacarpal bone on the back of his left hand, and so hopefully the surgery will go well, and we'll see how functional he is here the next couple of days getting ready for this ball game.
Now, I've heard an indication that there's a chance he could play next week. How does one play over the course of the next 2 weeks after going off surgery with a broken hand?
Well, different guys have had this surgery before, and guys currently playing in the league. Emmitt Smith had a similar surgery when he was playing, and really you get a little history of those guys coming back relatively quickly. Obviously, you take each injury kind of on its own merits based on the person and what the specifics of the injury are. But there's a reason for optimism that he could come back and play relatively quickly.
Jason Garrett joining us here on ESPN San Antonio, and if I guess you've got your equipment guys trying to figure out pads and soft cast splints that he can work with to make sure, because I mean what I worry about is he's fumbled the ball a couple of times this year. If he's got padding on his hand, how's that going to affect his ability to run the ball and hang on to it?
Yeah, the biggest thing is you have to address the question of is he functional to be able to do the things that his position requires, and that's what you have to ask with every injury. And if he's capable of holding the football, not only holding it, in the open field, but under duress when people are around him, if he's capable of catching the ball, can he block? All those things are the questions that we'll try to get addressed over the next couple of days. But first things first, we just want to get that surgery taken care of, and hopefully that'll be successful. We'll try to address those other questions as we go this week.
Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett here on ESPN San Antonio. To the win last night, 38-27. You couldn't have asked for a better start. You jump out to a 21-0 lead, then all of a sudden you're behind. But you guys were able to bounce back, and everything that you read is those are games that the Cowboys don't win in years past. What impressed you most about last night's win?
Oh, I think just that the fact that we got off to such a good start, and it was a positive thing for our football team. But we know that it's a 60-minute game, and that these teams will battle back. And certainly when you play a team like Philadelphia, they're going to keep battling, and they're going to do the things that they can do to get back into the ball game. And I thought our team just did a good job responding to that. It was 21-17. We had a turnover in the minus territory that they were able to cash in on to make it 24-21. And I think that was with about 5:30 to go in the third quarter. And then I thought our offense responded well, going down and scoring a touchdown to go back ahead 28-24. Then our defense did a good job getting the ball right back. J.J. Wilcox had the interception, gave us favorable field position. We knocked in another one, a few plays later. So I thought that sequence was big. After they went ahead, they got some momentum. The crowd was into the game. I thought our guys just kept their calm, kept their composure and poise, and just went out and executed. Executed on offense, executed on defense, and in the kicking game, and that was the difference in the game.
The interesting number for me, Coach, was 31, which was the amount of carries you had in this game for DeMarco Murray, 31 carries for 81 yards, which is 31 is an interesting number when the following is 81. So in some ways, do you feel like you effectively ran the football, in some ways ineffectively?
Well, I thought that was important for us in this ball game, is to be persistent with the run game, and they play a style of defense where there's a lot of people around the line of scrimmage. They want to defend the run, they want to force you to become one-dimensional, and I thought it was important for us to stay patient, stay balanced, understand the value of a 1-yard run and a 2-yard run and a 3-yard run over and over and over again to get ourselves into some manageable third downs, and then we had to make some plays outside, and obviously Dez was the marquee player, in that scenario. He scored on 3 different 9 routes, down the field. Tony made great throws, but when you play all those people around the line of scrimmage, you're going to create some one-on-one opportunities outside, and Dez is awfully good in those situations.
And of course, staying persistent with the run game and patient. You look at the Philadelphia time of possession, under 3 minutes in the first quarter, 6:22 in the second, which was the most they had the entire game as far as a quarter. 18 total minutes time of possession. So I guess you accomplished your goal of keeping their offense off the field.
Yeah, and they don't value time of possession very much. They've talk about the importance of getting out there and running plays quickly and scoring as fast as they can, and that challenges in so many different ways as a defense. But we do think that there is some value to executing plays over and over and over again and possessing the football, and over time you can wear the opponent down. And I think the physicalness of our offensive line and our tight ends and our other guys in the running game, I think over the course of a game can really benefit us late in the game. And again, they had a lot of people up there around the line of scrimmage. The persistence to run at that and also make some plays in the passing game, that was a good formula for success on offense.
And Jason Garrett, you just used the word challenge, and as quickly as Philadelphia tries to run plays, you twice had to make quick decisions on whether or not to throw that challenge flag. One was a game-deciding challenge because the Cowboys were awarded the football on that recovery. How much more difficult does it make it for you as a coach to decide to throw the flag, risk the timeout when you don't really get a chance and the guys upstairs don't get a chance to see a clean replay?
Well, that's a challenge, obviously. Pardon the pun.
Boom, boom.
Typically what teams do if there's a close play, they run an attack play or some kind of a hurry up play if they suspect the other team is going to challenge. So you're always kind of ready for that scenario that they might hurry up. But when you're Philadelphia and hurry up is what you do, you probably do it better and more quickly than most. So that was going to be something that we had to overcome. And we challenged the one earlier on the long completion they had, where they had the completion and the run down to the 1 yard line when the ball came out. And it's hard for us because you don't get a lot of great looks in a short period of time. And our guys upstairs felt like hey, there might be enough evidence on the replay they saw, and it might be worth throwing the flag on that first one just because it was such a big play, and if we were able to get the ball there, it would have been a significant turn of events. So even though you don't get great looks at it, you say, okay, that situation, hey, it's worth doing it. But similarly later, they had some good looks at it in a short period of time, and we had to make a quick decision. And Wade Wilson's up there, and Ben Bloom, one of our defensive line coaches, they felt really good about what they had seen, and they were adamant. I could hear it in their voice. So we decided to do it, and it worked out well for us.
Jason Garrett joining us, 1250 ESPN San Antonio, now on 94.5 FM. Coach, what does invisible progress mean?
That's not necessarily an expression that I've used. I suspect it means that sometimes you are making progress. You're probably planting seeds to grow in the grass out in the backyard, and sometimes you don't see the manifestations of the growth, and then all of a sudden you do see the manifestations. So you're making progress under the earth, and then before you know it, you start seeing some of the benefits. So that's how I would interpret that.
Do you think that this season and the record so far for the Cowboys at 10-4 is a manifestation of the invisible progress that your tenure has shown?
Well, the biggest thing we've tried to do here over the last 3 or 4 years is try to bring the right kind of people into our organization and do things the right way. And that sounds like a simple formula, but we really strive to do that in all the decisions we make about personnel and all the decisions we make about how we go about things on a daily basis. And we're always striving to improve. We have a vision for what we want our team to look like, and it takes time to get those pieces in place. And we had some hard decisions that we had to make when I first became the head coach in terms of moving on from some older players who were really, really good players for us. And we felt like those were the right decisions at the time, but then you have to make the next right decision, which is, okay, who's going to replace those guys? And I think over time we've done a good job of that, drafting Tyron Smith, drafting Travis Frederick, drafting Zach Martin to really rebuild our offensive line with young cornerstone-type players who we feel like could have a real big impact not only our offense but our entire football team. And we've tried to do that in all the different rounds and all the decisions we make with free agents to build the kind of team that we all can be proud of. So that's been the approach that we've taken. I feel like we've made progress. We had chances to win the division in each of the first 3 years. In Week 17, we didn't get that done, and we have to live with that. But I feel like we've gotten better and better and better, and are building the kind of team that we all can feel good about.
And right now, you guys are 10-4 and leading the NFC East. Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett here on ESPN San Antonio, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. Coach, you know that DeMarco Murray has been in the MVP conversation for a good portion of the season. Last night on the NBC broadcast, Chris Collinsworth was going into great detail about Tony Romo and getting that injection prior to the game and what all goes into it and what he has to do to get ready to play each and every week. And you look at Tony's numbers this year, should Tony Romo be in the MVP conversation?
Well, we're in the conversation about getting ready for the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, those guys have had outstanding years for us, and they're a huge part of our team. And I have an immense amount of admiration for them and what they've accomplished. But I think if you ask those guys the same question, they'd say the same thing. It's about a matter of cleaning up the game from last night and getting ready for our practice and our work against Indianapolis come Wednesday, because we know what that challenge is.
Last week when you were on with ESPN San Antonio, you talked about looking at the Spurs organization as a fundamental way for an organization to be built. This year when the Spurs won the championship, Greg Popovich was quoted as saying he couldn't look back on successes in the previous years because our culture is obsessed with winning, and we don't see some of these little successes in sports. We're just skewed by success on the scoreboard. Do you believe in that? Do you feel like that's a good approach, or are you just strictly based upon the results as opposed to the journey?
Well, we're obviously in a results-oriented world, and we're certainly in a results-oriented business. So winning matters. There's no question about that. But I go back to the conversation from earlier, where if you bring the right people together and you do things the right way on a daily basis, that's when you give yourself the best chance of achieving the results that you want. So we really believe strongly in that, and it's a process oriented program that we have in place here, meaning we want to do things the right way, and we're constantly trying to refine the way we do things and get better at what we do, better at coaching, better at playing, better at logistics, better at everything that we do. So that's our goal every day, and hopefully if we do that, we'll improve our team enough to the point where we can get into conversations about winning ball games and everything that we all aspire to do every year.
Coach, before we let you go, Indianapolis this week, some injuries from last night. Zach Martin and Doug Free. Doug Free missed quite a bit of time last night. It was reported as ankle injuries. Can you update their statuses at this point?
Yeah, Zach hurt his ankle in the ball game relatively early and did a great job really just playing through it. So, we're hopeful that he'll be ready to practice when our practice week begins on Wednesday. But we'll just take his situation day by day. He's certainly a tough guy, and he fought through it last night really, really well. Doug fought through his foot injury as well for most of the game, and then Jeremy Parnell took over in the second half. Doug has been dealing with that injury for a little bit now. So again, we'll take his situation day by day. And, when they wake up in the morning, how do they feel? How do they respond to the treatment they've gotten? We'll kind of evaluate it, day by day as this week goes on. But both the guys have had really good years for us. They're important parts of our team. But if they're not able to go, we just got to put the next guy in there and move forward.
Coach, congratulations on the win last night. Big win for the organization. We'll talk to you next week after the Indy game.
Guys, really enjoyed visiting with you. Have a great week.
You too. Coach Jason Garrett here on ESPN San Antonio, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds at 225-2121 or online, mybestbailbonds.com.
Jason Garrett, every Monday during the season. San Antonio's sports leader, 1250 ESPN San Antonio. Presented by AA Best Bail Bonds, mybestbailbonds.com.